No, no, it's not simple to fix in this country because we have a divisiveness that is so blindfolding to the Democratic Party that they literally will not keep America safe. That is what this is about.
Right.
So we care about politics more than protecting our country from illegal immigrants coming in and raping our children or hurting our people.
Happening.
That is literally the priority. They don't even know what the hell they stand for. You know it and I know it. So that's actually what's happening. As to what you spoke about, I agree. We have to get some of these old people out of Senate. I've seen it. I've experienced it, as you know. But the Department of Justice is just trying to, just like Homeland Security, take care of our country. And the fact that you would take money out of these people that they're not making a tremendous amount of money. They have mortgages to pay. They have children to feed. And I've experienced a shutdown myself. It's unacceptable. It's un-American, and they have to fix it.
Yeah, but they want.
You know, that's Alina Hava, obviously. Hey, welcome to the evening show. Going to do something a little bit different today, a little bit more laid back. Going to run through a couple things, but Alina basically set the tone for what I want to talk about tonight. And I know many of you understand that I truly feel the Democrats have nothing. I mean, literally nothing to run on. The entirety of their purpose right now is to hate Trump, stop Trump. That's it. There's nothing they are offering Americans whatsoever. And I'm going to show you some things today. It may not convince you fully, but it's going to bring you down that road to where you should start questioning, what do these people even have for America? What do they offer you? What do they offer your family? What do they offer your friends? What do they offer the people you don't care about? You know, there's so many people in this country. We have a very small circle of people that surround us. Everybody else out there that's an American, you have to just wonder for yourself, what exactly do you people want? They're never able to say it on any talk show. They're never able to say it in any interview, mostly because on the left, they're never even asked, what the hell do you people want? If you ask anybody on the right, we can go through a litany of things. We could say, yeah, basically, less taxes or no taxes, cheaper gas prices, no newcomers here, Second Amendment, we're against having babies ripped out. All these things we can say, these are what we want because this is the kind of life we want to live. What do you want for Americans? I want to make boys play in girls sports. Well, that doesn't help Americans. What do you want to do for America? We want to tax you more so we can give it away to these people. That's not helping America. And so today what I'm going to show you, I got a bunch of stuff I put together in a short period of time. I'm going to show you that. I believe I can show you that. So let me give you an outline of what's going to happen today. I'm watching closely to see if President Trump posts anything now that he's back. He's landed back in Washington, D.C. It's 7:04. We're about 40 minutes ahead of the final deadline for Iran. Don't know if they have a deal. Don't know if they don't have a deal. Don't know if they're sending planes out tonight. We don't know. We'll see within the hour. Secondly, Markwayne Mullin is set to be confirmed. And it already went through the pre-vote for the new vote so they can get to the final vote. But yet, as I'm looking at the feed, I'm going to show you. I won't burden you too long with it, but you can see they're still complaining again. Tell us what you do want instead of telling us what you don't want. It's inevitable. He will be confirmed tonight. And it is kind of coincidental, even though I don't like coincidences, that he's going to be confirmed just as ICE is in the airports. And by the way, something happened really weird in the airports today. The lines went down. How did that happen? How was it solved that quickly? Well, we all know. We all know what happened. We called it. You could have called that like a shot in a game of pool. But let you listen to a little bit some of these nuts. SV's here. Thanks, SV. He'll see if anything new gets posted by the boss. But in the interim, let's go ahead and just peek in on what's going on. Won't spend too long because I got some content I want to show you, and then we'll get to it. Probably just a couple of minutes so you can see how they're flailing.
And given renewed meaning at places like Seneca Falls and Selma here at home. Should the so-called Save America Act pass and be signed into law, fewer Americans, people who have worked hard and paid their taxes their whole lives, will be able to vote than before. It will be harder for a substantial number of Americans to vote. If this bill is enacted, there will be more Americans who, in practice, will have less of a voice in our democracy. They will be less free. The number of Americans who will lose their ability to vote may well be in the millions. Now, perhaps some will eventually find a way to jump through all the new legal hoops and cut through all the red tape and get their ballot in. But even if it becomes a relatively few number who remain unable to navigate these new barriers, we're still talking about law-abiding, tax-paying Americans who will lose their ability to vote, even as citizens of the world's greatest democracy. If this bill passes, it will also represent an enormous deviation in our history. Our country—
I told you. They're gonna. How are you gonna lose it? The election, the first one, 2026, is in November. It's March. You got 8 months to figure it out, honey. The people you talk to who are brain dead have 8 months to figure out how to use this thing called a computer, how to talk to the health department in the city in which they were born in order to get the right documentation. You got 8 months. You literally could walk even if you lived in, I don't know, Virginia, you could probably walk from Virginia to Florida if you had to. Not that I advise, I'm being rhetorical, of course. But you're going to hear these people complaining for the rest of it. It's incredible. How do you get your birth certificate? I'm telling you right now, I think I'm going to create a website, getyourbirthcertificate.com. You can log on to the website that I'll create and put your name and stuff in, and I'll go get your birth certificate for, a small fee to cover my time of calling somebody and saying, hey, can you go and get Fred's birth certificate because he don't have it? It's ridiculous. If you ask me right now, which you're going to hear some of these people complain about, Barry, do you have your birth certificate on you? Nope. See, we caught you. You don't have your birth certificate. But I know where it is. And I know where to go get it because I put it there in this thing called the safe deposit box at the bank. And I can walk in, hey, Mr. Banker, hey, how you guys doing? What are you doing? I'm going to go in here and open this little box here. Oh, there's some paperwork. Let me grab the birth certificate that I didn't have on my person, but now I've got it in my possession to do what Oh, I'm sorry. We already went through that process in the last election. We already have the real ID. We already have all this stuff. Oh, and my wife did, and she's got a different last name. Completely. She's got a hyphenated name, and somehow we were able to vote. And she's a woman. And I'm black. So we are one of the two worst categories for all of this. I don't know how I was able to find my way through a website and obtain a birth certificate and a passport and a driver's license. And I'm black. I don't know if I was struck with genius or what. It's simply amazing. It's a festivus miracle that me, a black person, could find some way to get a driver's license, a birth certificate, and a passport. And her, man, as a woman, these women, they can't do much. They need us men to show them what to do. And, through the osmosis of my brain, I was able to give her the information I hope she's not listening, so that she wouldn't just be some lowly married woman without any ID and ability to find her birth certificate, even with a different name. I am being facetious here because it's absurd. It's absolutely absurd. And she's still talking at it, so I'll go to the beginning of the show here, because we'll check back with the insane asylum here in a second. Hey, let me tell you about today's sponsor, one of the sponsors of tonight's show. It's Brightcore. Maria Morera was born in 1907 when horses still shared the streets with cars. She lived through 2 world wars, the Spanish Civil War and the rise of the internet. When she passed away in August of 2024 at 117 years old, she was the world's oldest person. After her death, researchers examined something remarkable. Her gut microbiome was remarkably diverse in beneficial bacteria. When scientists studied other similar people, I don't know where they found the other people who were 117 years old, they found similar patterns: greater microbial diversity and stronger gut balance, all traits that are linked to immune health, heart health, and even brain health. Your gut microbiome isn't just about digestion. It reflects how well your body adapts and functions over time. When your gut stays diverse and supported, you gain strength instead of losing it as the years add up. That's why Maria's story matters and should matter to you. Longevity isn't one miracle solution. It's about daily habits that add up and nourish your internal environment. Consuming kimchi is the strongest and simplest way to help replenish that beneficial bacteria and maintain microbial balance. That's why Brightcore created Kimchi One, delivering the benefits of fermented kimchi in a convenient capsule form to help restore your gut's natural balance every single day. And you can get some kimchi. Just go to the link in the description, or as you see on the screen, brightcore.com/Barry. And if you get the exclusive offer by clicking that link in the description, you get 25% off your entire order. However, for an even better deal, you can call my friends at Brightcore for up to 50% off your order and free shipping. Give them a call now at 888-418-6738.
One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet whom millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
Hello. Oh, Barry, can't hear you. Sound.
You can't hear me?
Now I can hear you.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. How you doing?
What's going on?
Hey, it happens. It happens to me too. Good evening, Patriots. I have a couple things. I have two things related to Iran. The first thing is some jaw-dropping stats that just came in. It proves exactly why Iran is on its knees begging President Trump for a deal right now. Here's the stats. 9,000 plus targets have been struck, 9,000 plus combat flights, 140 plus Iranian vessels damaged or destroyed.
Wow.
And that's some big time stuff going on. And it's been reported that the B-52s have now joined the fight. So obviously he's keeping his pedal to the metal. They began strike missions over Iran yesterday, dropping 2,000-pound JDAM guided bombs. Fun fact: the nickname for the B-52 is Buff. It stands for Big, Ugly, Fat. You know what? Buff.
Well, as I move through this, I got you on the monitor. If you see him post something, like he did something, because I don't know where he is. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know who he's meeting with. Maybe he's waiting for this insane asylum party to finish confirming Markwayne Mullin. But it's 7:17. We probably have about 30 minutes left before we see what the heck's happened. So
I'll keep looking.
Yeah, I'll check my my text and look down and see if I see you waving at me like, okay, we'll do it.
Okay. All right. Sounds good, Barry.
Speaking of the nuts, here, let me give you. She's still talking. She's
The freedom to vote at all. Americans won't just stand in line at a polling station to vote. They'll march to vote, even if it means going down to Selma, just as Granite Staters from St. Anselm's College did when they joined Dr. King's marchers.
Selma, Dr. King, do these people realize it's 2026? Are they really still fighting the civil rights movement? I mean, we're talking 1967, they're going to take my black card away from me because I don't even know when that even happened. And they're going back to Selma. Let me just tell you, lady, I don't know what her name is. You're insulting black people. You're conflating the civil rights movement to not being able to go pick up your damn ID. That's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. So I just want to let you know, you're not going to miss anything. I'm monitoring it, but they're doing their own version of the filibuster right now to get to the point where they can just confirm Markwayne Mullin. So I've been on for 18 minutes. She's still talking. I have no idea how long this woman's going to be talking. So let's move on.
A little bit earlier, you have an interesting story. He was here yesterday waiting in these lines, and now he's back here today for an 8 p.m. flight. What happened?
Yeah, so I got in yesterday. I got in here 4 hours before my flight. Still missed it by about 2 hours. The pre-check stuff was all closed. The Sky Priority lanes were all closed. So I just went home and thought I'll try it again tomorrow. So I showed up 8 hours early today. Extra
early, and I kind of want to get my photographer to give our viewers a look at just how bad the line is right now. Richard, have you ever experienced anything like this at an airport?
I travel a lot, and I have not seen it this bad. The line was actually wrapped around the airport a few times yesterday. I've never seen it quite this chaotic, but, we're making it.
Yeah, raise your hand in chat if you've ever flown. Okay. I can see you. I can see all of you with raising your hands. What in the hell causes this to happen? What changed? I mean, literally, you got like 20 lanes. Most of the time, they don't even have all the lanes open. So are you telling me they've got one person checking or something? Is that what it is? So by ICE going, they were able to get two people checking? Doesn't make any sense, but that's what the line looked like this afternoon. Just remember that, okay? That it was, all the way across filled up around the building and everything else.
Everybody's pretty calm for the most part, so I think folks are patient.
Yes, good spirits despite what's going on here. And this is, of course, all happening as TSA workers are getting $0 paychecks. ICE agents are here in Atlanta today helping out, just trying to alleviate this. What are your thoughts on that?
You know, if they can help speed things up, why not? You know, I kind of wish they would put the mask down, but otherwise I think that everybody can use the help. So as long as they can help out, get these lines to move a little bit faster, everybody's happy.
What mask? I didn't see one single person on any video that I saw at any airport that had a mask. Maybe they had them on early. I don't know, but I didn't see anybody with a mask on.
Thank you so much for your time, Richard. Good luck with your travel experience. So a little bit about how long you've been waiting in line and what you think about all of this.
We have been in line since 5:30 this morning. We drove up to Atlanta from South Georgia. We left about 3 o'clock this morning. Congress needs to get to work, get it done. The American people don't deserve this. TSA needs to get paid. This is ridiculous.
And, of course, this is all happening because, as you just mentioned, TSA workers, they're getting $0 paychecks right now. And that's part of the reason why that ICE agents are now here helping them out, trying to make these lines shorter.
I don't know what's wrong with the girl behind her. I don't know if that's her granddaughter, but she's cracking up.
What do you think about that?
I'm glad to see them here.
Glad to see it. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much. We hope you make your flight.
And so what's happening today in America that should outrage everybody? He's taking this very same agency that has been bursting into our schools, into our churches, into our hospitals, into our courts, and even into the homes of Americans. He's taking that agency that is reckless and out of control and bringing them to our airports.
So one of the things that Democrats have been saying is that if you have ICE in the airports, they're going to kill you, which is insane. And now he's like, this is obviously Cory Booker, senator from New Jersey, who's now saying that this rogue agency is in here. They're going to be doing all kinds of crazy things. Meanwhile, if he turned around, he can see they're not doing crazy things.
The lie that somehow this is going to help deal with the long lines that he created in the first place. This is an outrage. We should not have an agency that America doesn't trust.
Obviously, you've been drinking your own Kool-Aid or sniffing your own supply. Americans overwhelmingly trust ICE. Americans overwhelmingly want ICE in the airports. These people spew stuff because nobody challenges them on what they say. And so he's in, by the way, when's the last time you set up a podium in an airport? But anyway, he's got a podium in the airport having some sort of press conference there. And he's telling people we shouldn't have this agency that people don't trust.
An agency that literally has seen violence against Americans, an agency that is tearing away American families, tearing apart American families, and arresting and detaining Americans.
That is another frequent refrain they just keep saying. Who are these Americans that ICE just keeps ripping apart, as they say? See, the problem the Democrats, like I've said, this whole show tonight is they don't have anything to say. That's why there's nobody around them. Nobody cares. Hey, man, I got to take a flight. I got to go stand in this line because your ass ain't doing your job. And because you're not doing your job, I'm here with 2,000 people who can't get on their plane. Do something. But President Trump trumped you. Now he's doing something.
Violating due process rights and civil rights.
ICE at the airports, shall we? I don't know. Can you run the ICE lines or the lines of TSA at all of the airports? We have some video of this. It's pretty staggering. Some of the lines were up to 2 and 3 hours long. It is nuts. What was the longest?
I've read anywhere between 5 to 6.
Where? Atlanta?
I think New York City. Insiders tell me if I'm wrong.
I think that's different than what I wrote or what I read. I'm not sure. But
see, if Glenn was smart, he would have called SV and he would have had someone who knows what they're talking about instead of having this nut job there. But anyway, we got SV, whoever he has with makeup on, she's not there for the same purpose. SV's here for a functional purpose. But in any event, they're talking about the same thing everybody else is talking about, the long lines. That's what I want you to focus on, is how long these lines were earlier this afternoon and earlier this morning.
What you read. But I will tell you, it's horrible in some places, And the president has said, we're going to get ICE out there. Well, somebody's got to do the job. Who do you want? Well, now people are saying, oh, well, that's just going to make people, illegals afraid to go into the airports. Well, I can't help you with that,
That's how I feel. If the mere presence of law enforcement makes you turn around and go back to wherever you came from, then it's working. It's working as planned. And if you're stupid enough to be a newcomer and you show up there, rolling the dice, hoping they won't catch you, and then you get caught and they start dragging you out and you start screaming, that's on you. So as this day progressed, one of the things I don't know if you saw, but the crowd started slimming. And like President Trump has said all along, we just needed a new president. Well, he solved the other part. He just needed ICE there. He just needed more law enforcement. How did the crowd just start slimming? Everybody's been talking about this for 2 and 3 weeks. One day, literally one day, they shrank. We called it.
ICE would be not in the airport. ICE would be looking for the really bad guys who have stabbed people and killed people and raped children. But the left, the Democrats, have shut down TSA. So we got to have somebody do it. Who do you want to do it? I prefer TSA. So the president is saying we should have ICE do it.
All right, so here was my idea. Hypothetical, maybe? No, not hypothetical. I think it's more real than hypothetical. My hypothesis is that the Democrats were playing chess and they had not many moves on the board. And I think the Democrats said to themselves, you know what we can do? Let's shut down air travel. And other people in the room is, well, we can't really do that. We can't stop air travel. Here's an ingenious idea. We'll not fund ICE. It'll cause so many different problems. And effectively, it will shut down travel in arguably one of the biggest travel times of the season. You've got March Madness, you have Easter coming up, Mother's Day, all kinds of things getting ready to happen or are happening. And if they said we can screw with this enough that it'll really affect air travel to the point where it might shut it down, the Democrats are okay with that. They would have no problem if all the airports got shut down. And so this is probably just a little bit of the, as Glenn's going to say, the chaos that they wanted.
Left is saying, well, that's going to cause so many problems because of the, okay, well, you're having a hard time evoking sympathy in me on this one for a myriad of reasons. You want to solve it? Fund the TSA. Same time, Elon Musk comes out and Elon Musk says, I'll pay the TSA. Now, here's a guy who's the richest guy on earth. He could pay TSA all day long and never feel it. It's like you going to, buy a milkshake at McDonald's. Not that big of a deal. Except this would be healthy and McDonald's. Anyway, why isn't he doing it? You want to know why? Because he can't just pay TSA. It's got to go to the Treasury. And then from the Treasury to be allocated to the TSA, Congress has to vote on it to be allocated.
There you go. And there it is right there. Even though there was somebody willing to cut a check to pay for every single one of these people, including their back pay, and all it would have taken is for Congress to say, yeah, I approve that. It's no big deal. No sweat up our back. What's he want in return? He wants it, no interest. Just pay me back when you turn the faucet back on. Sounds reasonable. See, but reasonable isn't in the vocabulary of most Democrats. Reasonable is offensive to most Democrats, especially when your objective is to make Americans hurt. And so they didn't even talk about Elon Musk tendering that offer. Most of the CNNs and MSNBCs of the world didn't even discuss it. They didn't want people to even know that getting paid was an option. Why? Because if people got paid, they lose leverage. If they lose leverage, they can't try to inflict pain. It's just one big round robin screwball that they're trying to do to America. And so here's this guy with nearly $1 trillion. Just tell me, I'll write the check. No, didn't respond to him. But if he had not paid his taxes, or if he doesn't pay his taxes on April 15th, they're going to be screaming bloody murder. Well, I'm willing to give you a whole bunch more so you can pay these people. No. So again, as I've premised this entire show, what do you people want? Why is it you don't want good? Why do you prefer chaos? That's a question people should be asking these people.
This is how screwed up our system is. This is what everybody hates about government. You know, there are times when you are when your ox is in the mire and you got to get it out. And all these rules and regulations that stop you from doing the right thing. The right thing is to refund TSA, get them back working at the airport and fully fund them. The wrong thing is to keep taking and saying, oh, we're not going to pay you. And then we're going to pay you for a while. And then we're not going to pay you again. Then we're going to pay you for a while. You never really know. It's a really stable environment.
You know what's really bad too? And I think I've realized this since I've been doing a political show, why everything goes on C-SPAN. Because if what was going on in the Senate right now was televised on national television, and people who haven't been paid, people who are losing their jobs and their ability to do different things because Congress isn't getting anything done. If this was being publicized and shown on national TV right now, prime time, 8 p.m., if you saw this, if people could sit back in their living room, what's that? Oh, that's the Senate. What are they doing? I don't know, because nobody's there. Can you imagine? You guys are news junkies like me, so you've seen this. Can you imagine if Americans turned on, we're going to watch Fox. What's this thing? The Senate. Let's turn on the Senate. They're hard at work, making their $175,000 a year, working on, getting laws passed, getting people confirmed. And you click on the channel and see that. This is live. This is 100% live right now on the floor of the Senate as they're waiting to try and confirm Markwayne Mullin.
Mr. President.
I recognize the senator from Oklahoma.
Is the Senate currently in a quorum call?
Yes, it is.
I'd ask the unanimous consent to set it aside.
Let's listen in a little bit.
Mr. President, in just a few moments, this body will vote for the next Secretary of Homeland Security. It happens to be a friend of mine. His name is Markwayne Mullin. Markwayne Mullin's the pride of Westville, Oklahoma, which ironically enough is the easternmost town in our state. On a normal day, there are more people inside the United States Capitol than there are in Westville, all of Westville, Oklahoma. But it's a bunch of really nice folks that work really hard. And Markwayne Mullin has risen from being a country boy on a cow-calf operation with his dad, running a very small plumbing company, to now being nominated and tonight being confirmed as our next Secretary of Homeland Security. Graduated from Stillwell High School, but the most important thing wasn't his graduation from Stillwell High School, it's the girl that he met in the third grade. In the third grade, he fell in love with Christy, and they waited all the way until she was 18 and he was 19 before they got married. And now, decades later, and 6 children later, that proud family will now be the lead family to be able to serve to keep every family safe in the country. The responsibility in Homeland Security is dramatic. There's 250,000 people, federal employees, that work for the Department of Homeland Security. It's a massive operation and is incredibly important to our country.
Oh, I'm sorry. I hit the wrong button. You caught me snoozing. If this was on national television right now, people would be throwing things at the screen. People would be looking at this and go, "What the hell am I watching?" You're talking about this guy. He came from a little town. He got married. They got kids. And it's so awesome that he's from this little town in Oklahoma. Why can't y'all just go in there and vote? Why do you have to have all the preamble? I think they should preempt every network and make people watch this stuff. What do you think would happen in our country if right now at 7:36 people are eating dinner or sitting down with their tray tables and they're getting ready to turn on Jeopardy or something before the 8 o'clock hour comes on, and you got to watch this?
He has been my friend that we've worked side by side on a lot of issues. I will never forget, multiple years ago, my wife, Markwayne and his wife, Christy, the 4 of us sitting down for a dinner in a quiet place, in a booth in the middle of a restaurant, just to talk. Because Markwayne was thinking about saying, "I'm done with all of this chaos that's in Congress." And he was actually praying through what to do next. And it was over that dinner that the 4 of us just talked and visited, prayed together, and he determined, "I'm going to stay at it because there's more work to be done." And I'm glad he did. In the days ahead, the nation will be glad that he did, because I think he'll make a fantastic Secretary of Homeland Security. As we approach this moment, I can't help but also note a challenge that he's going to walk into on day one. Because when he walks in tomorrow morning into a new office, into a new role, being sworn in, there will not be funding for the people around him. The staff that will be there working alongside of him won't have been paid for more than a month. And this is not an anomaly for them. As of this week, half of the fiscal year Homeland Security.
See, we all know this. We all know TSA is not getting paid. Everybody in line at the airport knows TSA isn't getting paid. Why are you standing there talking? This should be a 20-minute meeting. All right, raise your hand, hit the button, whatever it is. He's confirmed. Get him over to the White House or whoever's going to Pam Bondi's office and put his hand on the Bible and swear him in and get to work. Not enough people understand how the sausage is made here, but worse, not enough people care. You can see it in the chat. "Oh man, this is boring. Just do it." Exactly. Something is broken in our government where this kind of stuff happens on both sides. You saw the crazy liberal. Now you got a Republican just standing up there and talking. Enough. Just damn vote. You know he's going to get confirmed. Vote. But see, common people who aren't news junkies, don't see how this goes. So let me continue. We'll come back when they actually start voting. Because damn these people.
Causing chaos in all of these people's lives. That's wrong. That's wrong. Elon Musk is trying to do the right thing. System is saying, no, you can't. That's how screwed up our system is. My dad said, you know how truth, you can tell truth. Truth is like rain. It just falls straight down. Water, just straight down. And when it bends, when it curves, it's because there's something impeding it. Otherwise, it would just keep running straight, but there's some obstacle in the way. And he's like, it's those obstacles. Whenever you see things bend, That's when you look and go, okay, there's something not true here. There's an obstacle in the way. Pay the TSA.
The Democrats. So what Glenn's dad just described is the Democrats. What Glenn's dad just described are these senators. They're in the way. They're blowing things out down here. If you've ever been in a hurricane and you see it rain sideways. See, Glenn was talking about rain that comes this way. Now that he lives down here in South Florida, he gonna find out come August and September when you start seeing it rain like this. I swear. I never experienced it until I moved into South Florida. Did I see rain go sideways for an hour or two or a day? Like, this is really weird. How's the rain going this way? Because something blew it this way. A big wind somewhere and blew it. But the problem, or not the problem, the good part about rain, as Glenn's dad told him, it keeps moving. Doesn't stop. Doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter what you do. Doesn't matter what political party you are in. It just keeps going until it doesn't want to rain anymore. These fools, especially the Democrats, are trying to stop it from raining. I love the analogy from his dad, but that's exactly what we're seeing. We're seeing a political party who I still believe are in their agonal breathing stage because they've got nothing. And so they're trying to stop even the rain at this point. As Glenn was talking, he was using a metaphor for truth. Forget truth. They don't even want discussion. You can't have truth if you're not willing to even discuss. They don't want to discuss anything. So here we are with a government that is impeding truth.
Pay them. Can't. What's the obstacle? Politics. Okay. Elon Musk steps to the plate and says there's absolute chaos. What's the straight way? Pay them. Can't. What's the obstacle? The system. The system would work, but it can't because people are obstructing it. I think Elon Musk, I heard that and I thought that as somebody who, at least is a candidate for future Antichrist, he is a really good guy. I like him.
The whole not analogy, but the story he's telling about Elon Musk is the wrench. Well, if you ever call a plumber, you need some work done and, something has to turn that bolt. The bolt's going to stay just as it is. It has no desire to move. If you've ever had the unfortunateness to change a tire, you till off the hubcap and the bolts just look at you. There's no desire. There's nothing that's going to require that bolt to just, hey, spin off. I got to change the tire. You got to put this big thing, this lug wrench, and you got to crank it. Unless you got one of those those things that they have in garages. But otherwise, if you did do it manually, you've got to do the work to make it turn. Barry, what the hell are you talking about? These people in Congress need to do the work to make things turn. They choose, specifically the Democrats, not to. They're perfectly fine if the country goes to pot. They don't care if it doesn't matter. We're not going to use the Elon wrench. We hate the wrenches that Trump is using. Well, what wrenches are you going to use? None. We're just going to get in the way. Well, actually, no, they do have one wrench. They're using the judiciary. The judiciary to me is like, if I use that same metaphor of trying to get the tire off, they're the ones, the next door neighbor who took the wrench out of your car. So when you get a flat tire, you're like, I can't do anything. Oh, you don't have it. Yeah, I took the wrench. Our government's broken. That's the moral of the story. Our government is not, however, irreparably broken. That's where President Trump comes in. President Trump comes in because he's not coming in with a bar to pop the lug nut. He's coming to basically rip the tire off the axle and replace it. this tire, nope, we can't use this anymore. We need something better. And so I am here, after everything they did to me, to make sure that we can make this tire run. That's the problem right now. There are people on the right and people on the left who don't want us to be moving all in the same direction efficiently. You got nearly a trillionaire like Elon Musk. You got other people like Scott Bessent, people who know, hey, I know how to fix this tire. I know how we can do it better. And the Democrats, they're trying to put a square tire on it to inhibit your ability to move forward. That's what we have to recognize, because otherwise we just keep looking at this stuff. And that's not progress. That's not anything that this country needs right now. And that's why these people hate Donald Trump. They a bunch of old people walking around. There's Dick Durbin, barely can stand up, leaning on the desk. Seems like he doesn't even know where to go. Wondering what's he going to do next. Here comes Tim Kaine. He walks in. What are y'all doing? And you know from watching President Trump operate, that's not how he operates. He's like, let's get it done. We need to do stuff. If you're not doing something, I shouldn't be paying you. Which goes completely contrary to everything you're seeing. You're paying every one of those people in there. Every single one of those people you're paying for. If that was your company, right now, if this was your company, which it is, which one of these people would stay? Be honest. Which one of these people would you like, oh, you're doing a good job, I'm going to promote you? Well, there's 100 senators, and I'm looking at 3. The other 97 ain't even there. You don't keep people like that. And the Democrats and the Republicans seem to be okay with this being how it is. So let's continue.
And he's just trying to do the right thing. And he keeps getting hammered over and over and over again. He's living the life of the billionaire that wouldn't we all like to be? Wouldn't we want to be that guy? If we were going to be a billionaire, do you want to be Bezos or do you want to be Elon Musk? You want to be any of these billionaires or do you want to be Elon Musk?
I'd be okay with being either one of them. But yeah, what you do, it would be different. So I guess he's saying Elon Musk at least wants to get stuff done. I think Bezos wants to get stuff done as well in his own way. He's not as prolific somebody who does something for the general public as Elon is. But in any event, these are people who built huge businesses like Donald Trump, have been extremely successful with a plethora of different businesses, large employees, facilities. And yeah, we got that. And the problem is not enough people look at this and go, there's something wrong here. And we're stuck with it. We are absolutely stuck with this progress or lack thereof. There's nothing we can do about that except for what President Trump is doing. Burn it down. And that's what he's going to be doing, and that's what they're terrified of. Because all of a sudden, overnight, the airports got better.
There, what have you been seeing them doing?
Yep. Finally, we can take a deep breath here. The numbers have dropped off. The lines are getting shorter. I think the average wait time now is under 40 minutes. So if you have a flight to catch today, it's a good time to come to Hartsfield-Jackson International.
How? Wait a second. It is only 7:50 on Monday. And all weeks have gone by when it's like, oh my God, and the wait time is 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours. Oh my God, we can't wait. Well, it's like 40 minutes in one of the biggest airports in the country. It's down to 40 minutes. How? How did it happen? Nobody in the news wants to talk about that. I talked about it the other day. I said, wait, watch how fast it goes down. It was obviously AstroTurf. It wasn't real. It was made to have square wheels. It was made not to be able to have anybody crank the bolt off. Let's throw up an impediment. Let's make it horrible so that it's unusable, where everybody is just going to be standing around and and all of a sudden, overnight, what? How did it happen? Trump made it happen. Every time they get in his way, he does something and just completely turns it on them. Hey, listen, I'm going to go to Venezuela, going to get Maduro, we're going to have all this oil. You can't do that. Too late. I already did it. Oh my God, we got to get rid of him. He's doing too much good stuff. Hey, I'm going to take Cuba. You can't do that. It's coming. Oh, you can't go to Iran and stop the mullahs and all this stuff. It's coming. All the norms that they have worked forever to put up as blockades on America, he's doing it in basically light speed. And that's what they don't like, and that's why so many people are terrified of what's happening. That's why you can't even look at things and go, what's happening next with the election? After what I show you, is it the next story? No, I got another story to show you before that. In terms of what's happening just today, you can't possibly chart the journey going to November. You can't do it. There are so many variables happening by the day that I'm not sure if people are paying attention to. It's absolutely stunning how fast this stuff is all moving. Crazy. I mean, I've never seen it. And I'm going to venture to say that you guys haven't seen it in your lifetime. We're going to cut to SV in a second, SV, so I'll be right there to you. But let me talk to you about the next segment sponsor, and that's Chapter. As you guys know, Medicare is quite confusing, and me now being 65, I can confirm this. Well, I can confirm it used to be confusing. You know, keeping track of enrollment periods, understanding all your options, and making sure you're on the right plan takes too much time and energy. And in between, Medicare scams, and corrupt agents, and bloated insurance companies, blah, blah, blah. It's easy to make mistakes that can cost you literally thousands of dollars. That's why I'm happy we decided to work with Chapter. They're honest and the only Medicare advisor that looks at every plan nationwide, helping people save an average of $1,100 a year. And also, if you're not looking to save money, because not everybody is in a save money position, they'll happily help you find a Cadillac style plan as well. If you want to save, they can save you up to $100 a month. That's crazy. These guys won't push you to buy a plan you don't want, and their support is completely free. So if you're turning 65 soon or have questions about your Medicare coverage, call them at 475-328-3545 to get the most out of Medicare. Most people, in fact, some of the people here in your Fanfare family, wish they'd just call sooner. So give them a call at 475-328-3545 or go to askchapter.org. This is a time when I would normally take a break, but instead of taking a break, I can just leave this on for 90 seconds so you can enjoy the biscuit of what's going on in the Senate. I'll be back in 90 seconds. Actually, the break will be better because this is boring and there's not even any sound. So I'll be right back.
back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
All right, while they're still walking around and picking their noses in the Senate, we'll continue. By the way, let me just stop for a second. It is now 7:56 on the East Coast. So depending on what time zone President Trump was referring to, it is past 7:44 p.m. So unless there's a deal, unless he's going to come out and post something, SV's watching, unless he posts something and says we have a deal, if I was in Iran, like I said, I'd be clutching your pillow tight right about now because he said it was subject to having a deal. And as of right now, SV will hit me up if there's a deal made, or Steve Witkoff or Jared Kushner post something or anything like that. But the time has passed. We are in go time right now. And once the order's been given, it ain't going to be able to call it back once things start dropping. So hopefully somebody in Iran came to their senses and said, yes, he did talk to us and we are going to do a deal, because otherwise, boom is coming. All right, let's continue.
Federal ID, Mike. Let me ask you a question. Could you find your birth certificate? No, I couldn't. Could you find your birth certificate today?
And it's required. This.
The IQ level of somebody watching MS Now must be somewhere in like 45. It has to be so low that they can't even understand what IQ stands for. You've got grown men on television saying, I don't even know my ID is. I don't know. Wow. Wow, seriously? That's how stupid the people you talk to are, huh? Mm-hmm. Instead, why didn't you have some sort of show where you had somebody on from a local health department showing somebody, here's how you can get your birth certificate. The only information you need to know is your name and your birth date and where you were born. I know some of you might not know who your daddies are watching MS Now, but we can help you out with that. Can we narrow it down? Where were you born? Chicago. How old are you? Okay, we're getting close. How many Fred Joneses or Felicia Joneses are there? Come on, people.
Trump said it. He said this is the way I win. He knows he's getting killed.
It's
on
to bag an election.
It's to cheat and steal the election.
Now you know they're getting real desperate. Now you know they are getting desperate beyond measure at this point when they're accusing Trump of trying to steal the election. Now, listen closely here what he says. I don't know if this is a Freudian slip, but remember, President Trump was elected in 2016. Joe Biden was elected in 2020, was selected in 2020. Listen close to what Chucky says here.
Different way than he did in 2021.
I'd like to ask.
What? Nobody asked Chucky what the hell you're talking about? So you're saying that Trump tried to steal the election in 2020? Huh. Interesting, Chucky.
Do a larger question.
Can I say on this SAVE Act?
Sure.
You can't even use military ID. And here's what happens. Just a minute. I wrote an op-ed.
It's in the New York Times.
Can I show it?
It's a good one, Senator. It's a good one. Of course you can show it.
I hope people will read it.
This is your table.
I haven't seen it here.
And of course, we're not talking about the other aspects of the SAVE Act that go well beyond ID, and it goes to which is also part of Jim Crow, the history, and that is when it comes to registration, you got to find your birth certificate. If you know where yours is, I have no clue where mine is.
Okay, so now you've had a prominent senator. I don't have an ID. You had a news anchor on MS Now. I don't know how to get my ID. And now you have the sitting governor of California says he doesn't know how to get ID either. I don't have an ID. And you had another sitting congressman, Clyburn, sitting there. I don't have an ID. Are they really this stupid? Or they just expect you to be this stupid?
Well, you have to passport, and 2/3 African Americans don't even have passports.
Passport, I was blocking on just then. But not only that.
What did he just say? Some of these people, you need to put subtitles of it, because I don't know what the hell he just said. But he's like, I ain't got none either. So why are all the Democrats devoid of birth certificates? Are they all aliens? I mean, you're the sitting governor, supposedly the presumed favorite for the Democrats, and you're saying in March of 2026, you don't have any ID. I can't get one. I don't know. What you're seeing is the new messaging. The new messaging from the Democrat Party is nobody we know has ID. You just heard Schumer, you heard Joe Scarborough, you just heard Newsom and James Clyburn all say, I ain't got no ID. That's not by accident, people.
How many people go out, get married,
yes,
and then square their married name with their birth certificate?
And that would be thrown out under that law.
Under that law.
Yeah. So that's what just passed the House of Representatives now needs to get the 60 in the Senate. So I like what Schumer said, dead on arrival.
No, you don't.
Wow. So the reason they're having these podcasts and they're talking and they're saying this crap is because they need to put this in people's heads. You can't get your, what the hell happened? Thought I saw something go away. Oh, SB went away. You can't get your birth certificate. Nope, not a chance. Not a chance you can get your birth certificate. You think I'm kidding with this being the trend? Okay.
Talking about voter ID, that's the way Trump defines it. But you're talking about, now I don't know about California's initiative, but I do know what's going on in Washington, is that some geniuses think that before you can, maybe I have it wrong here, register to vote, you need a passport or your birth certificate. Do you have a passport or your birth certificate?
Okay. Bernie, you should be old enough to know this. You may not be an attorney. I don't know what Bernie's pedigree is, but you don't ask a question if you don't know what the person is going to answer. So he tried to set her up by saying, you got a birth certificate? You got a passport?
At the moment?
Do you?
I do. I have.
There goes that. And she's a woman. Yep, got a birth certificate. Yeah, I do. Oh, you must be one of them smart ones. We don't see too many of them around here, especially in Washington.
Millions of people don't. I don't have my birth certificate. God knows how I get it.
What? God knows how I would get it. I think I'm going to do a video tomorrow where I will take somebody from the audience and I will say, tell me where you were. Don't give me your vitals. I will show you how to go to the health department, wherever you were born, whatever county, and how to get a birth certificate. Or better yet, maybe I should see if Ashley can get somebody in one of these places and like, can I talk to somebody, a clerk? Hey, Miss Clerk. Yeah. I don't know how to get my birth certificate. Can you help me? I'd be a stupid Negro. Well, sir, where were you born? This city. All right, well then, here's the number. Give them a call. Hey, how you doing? How do I get my birth certificate? Oh, what's your name? What's your name? Who's your daddy? Is he big like me? Now, what's your name? I don't know who my daddy was. These people are stupid. They think you're stupid. It's amazing how insane all of this is. And now you just saw prominent, not just naysayers or people you don't see, prominent Democrats just come out. Scarborough, Schumer, Gavin Newsom, James Clyburn, and Bernie Sanders all just say, I don't have a birth certificate. Well, Bernie might be the only person I could understand. Because when Bernie was born, they probably didn't record births. They probably put up smoke signals or something. I don't know. Bernie's about 120 years old, so who knows? But everybody else, I'm pretty sure you can get a birth certificate. But now they're telling the Democrats, nope, you can't get one. Nope, sorry. Not going to work for you. Seriously? But then again, let's check in with these and see if they're at least voting at this point. That's your government, people. That's your government in action right now, or rather in inaction. Here comes Michael Bennett on the floor. I don't even know if these people are even voting yet. Let me see. Does Michael come up, give a thumbs down? Because, of course, he's a Democrat. He's up at the top there, and they're all standing around smiling. Yep, nothing to do here. People are waiting for us to get something done, but we're not doing anything. Nope, nothing to do here. We'll let you know. That's your Democrat Party. Now, I have an insert segment here because this when I watched the Morning Joe thing with Schumer, it got even more ridiculous. More ridiculous than not having a birth certificate. He started to opine. Oh, there's Liz Warren. She just walked in, another old person. But he started to opine about the Iranian war.
Deep, and Iran sees that they have real leverage here, right. That it's harder and harder.
All right, so Senator,
here's how we ought to get out.
No, hold on a second. Okay. You got to answer my question first.
Yeah.
Is it a good thing that Iran, and I think you would agree with me, epicenter of terrorism in the world since 1979, is it good that their military infrastructure is being degraded to the degree that it is? Yes or no?
It's you can't, because it's a premature question. What is going
to Is it good that Trump has destroyed the military? SV earlier was reading off all the things. They've done this many attacks. They've dropped this many ships into the brink. They've done this, they've done that. Can we at least admit that's a good thing? Can we at least admit that so far destroying all of their military capabilities, or as much of the military capabilities as have been destroyed thus far, can you at least admit that's a good thing?
happen in the next several months?
No, I can ask that question.
Well, you can't separate.
No. I can't. So you have a military side of it. I can show you my chart, but I think I threw it away. You have the military side, you have the political side. I'm simply asking on the military side, is it good, regardless of whether we agree with going in or not, is it good that Iran's military infrastructure has been seriously
degraded? And again, I have to tell you, Joe, first, you can't. What's going to happen 3 months from now? Is it worth it?
Okay, Chuck, let me explain to you. They got no boats. They got no planes. They have no way to make any boats. They have no way to make any planes. What's going to happen 3 months from now? Okay, let me tell you. They still won't have any boats. They still won't have any planes, and they still won't have any way to make any boats or planes. Is it a good thing? What the hell are you talking about in 3 or 4 months? If you don't have it now, you're not going to be able to have it in 3 or 4 months. It's gone. It's completely obliterated, as President Trump would say. So this isn't a hard question. Are you rooting against America that much that you can't even admit destroying their military is a good thing? You can't even focus. Before we go into the next thing, can you just say it's a good thing that we did this? Oh, we don't know what's going to happen in the next couple of months.
What's going to happen? Will the world economy collapse? Will something happen even worse? Will the whole energy infrastructure of the world go up in smoke?
Will you die? I'm sorry, did I say that?
So you have to, when they do it without planning, when they do it without understanding where they're going.
Senator.
Where they're going,
but
I don't think it's
fair. It's a trick question.
No, it's
because
not.
if you do not strategize the consequences of the action.
Okay, now you notice the pivot there. Mika comes in because she realizes Chucky is screwed. Joe inadvertently painted Chucky into a corner. Can you at least admit this is a good thing? Can we go there and just say that? Well, you don't know what's going to happen in a couple of months. They don't seem to have any plans. And he said that as a keyword. Mika jumps in. They don't have any plans. So Pete Hegseth, General Raising Cane, every single press conference they have, which they'll probably have another one at 8 o'clock again tomorrow morning. Everybody keeps telling you what the plan is. You've seen the plan. If you have any idea what the hell is going on, you can see the sequence of what's happening. We went in, we did this, we did this, we did this. Now we're doing this. Now they got no Navy. Now they have no Air Force. We completely have, we can do whatever we want over the skies of Iran. But you're saying, and you're trying to tell people, there's no plan. So you're back to no plan to allow him to skip the question, is it a good thing that these people have been rendered toothless?
The military action. If you obliterate and do all these things, but you don't actually play it out in your minds and have strategy for the consequences, then it may not be good.
Let me answer the question for everybody in America. The answer, yes. It's good that the terrorist regime, their military has been, and capabilities have been degraded radically. The question, Mike, though, is political. It's the political question. No. What is the political impact? What's the impact in the Straits? What's the impact in the region?
Joe, in all due respect, if you ask the American people, if you have the choice of degrading the military structure in Iran, but having gasoline be $6 a gallon, and our economy falling into a deep recession where...
This was this morning. He was saying this hyperbole this morning. As oil prices plummeted, this is what his answer was. The economy is going into the toilet. What are you talking about? Everything is gaslighting with the Democrats. Again, Chucky, he tried to ask you, what's the good of this? Is there no good ever? Yeah, that's the answer. There's nothing good Trump can ever do.
Millions lose their job. What do you think about it?
Senator, you're not listening to me. That's the political side.
No, it's not.
You know it's bad when you have to get chastised by Joe Scarborough. Senator, you're not listening. That's it. They don't listen to the American people, even the ones who are somewhat on their side. They don't have the ability to reason because there is nothing that they want that Donald Trump is doing. Nothing. And so they're convincing an entire group of people, the entire swath of Americans and non-Americans, that everything Trump does is bad. And when you come from that perspective, you have to realize these people are never coming back. That's another thing you have to understand. So if they're never coming back and they don't want what's good for America, it becomes a very clear contrast at this point.
Political. Okay. It's a consequence, just like Mika said.
All right, why don't we talk about the Yankees, because you're not following me here.
Let's just talk about the Yankees. That's bad. You guys know how left-slanted, left-leaning MSNBC is. You guys know what Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski, whatever her name is, how bad they've been towards the left. And you've got them waving the white flag going, these people are morons. Let's just talk about the Yankees in the time we have left, because you're not making any sense. If you're insulting people like Scarborough and Mika, what do you think you're doing to most of America with this no birth certificate crap, this hold up people at TSA, and nothing is going right in Iran? Even people who have some brains and a little bit of integrity are going, there's nothing we can do here.
With all due respect.
I just don't agree with you.
No, you don't understand me. There's a big difference. I would say that most Americans would say it's a good thing that it's degraded. Would they agree that we should have gone to war, Mike? I think most Americans, you look at the polls, they don't want this war.
Okay.
They don't want this war. But there is, it's something that I think the Democrats should be, I think it's something, with all due respect, Democrats should be clear about. Iran has tried to kill Americans since 1979. Okay. Two things, hold on. Two things can be true at once. It can be good that Iran's killing machine has been degraded. At the same time, the consequences may outweigh the good that come from that.
Okay,
it's okay to say
that. I don't disagree with you.
I don't disagree.
You know, the fact that the leader Khamenei is gone, no one regrets that. The fact that Iran has less ability to create military...
He's searching for help. He's looking this way. Somebody come here, throw me a lifeline. I'm underwater. I don't know what to do. You've put me in a box. Everybody can see I'm in a box. You've laid it out so well at this point. I have to back off my original conviction to say, oh yeah, I agree. It made him choke on it. That Trump has done something right. Yes, they can be mutually exclusive. You can be against the entire action, but you can't be against the fact that what he's done has been successful. You can be on the right and have that, but you can't say what he has done hasn't been successful.
Trouble is no one disputes that. But you have to look, I don't think it's political, to be very honest with you. It's the consequences, the military, the geopolitical, the economic consequences.
I'm saying the geopolitical.
You gotta let me finish.
You just said what I was saying. The geopolitical consequences
right,
of
it's
this
not just
is
the economic consequences.
Right.
Again, let me ask the question again. If you ask the American people, and you had the package together, because we don't know how bad it's going to get, but we know it's pretty bad now. I think most of them would have said, no, we shouldn't have gone to war. And by the way,
most of them have said that.
We shouldn't have gone to war.
Right.
And
they're making it up. You've seen the polls, whether you believe in polls or not. You know your friends, your family, your circle of people you're around. We all know what would have happened. Chuck is Jewish. He should know what would happen. You find out that they launched a missile into Diego Garcia, which was way further away than anybody ever thought, even though Trump said they got it. You didn't listen to that. I see some of the comments in the chat, and people are like, I'm losing brain cells listening to these people. It could be worse. You could be listening to those people.
Mr. Kramer.
Oh, we're actually getting a vote now.
Aye. Mr. Hoven.
All right,
Mr. Hoven.
Let's listen
Aye.
in. And as soon as I switched, she stopped taking a vote. So we're getting close. He's going to be confirmed here any moment here. But in any event, what you're seeing is the Democrats have nothing in their arsenal, no arrows in the quiver. There's nothing there. And so as I was saying, I'm seeing in the chat where people are like, it's just, I'm losing brain cells. The reason I'm showing this is to basically underscore what I've been saying. There's nothing there. There's the whole time he's talking to Joe. Hey, Joe, I'd like to talk to you about a plan we have. Joe, I'd like to talk to you about an initiative we have. Here's what we think can work. Nothing. And so when you see this kind of flailing, then you understand, don't listen to people who say we're going to lose the midterms, because they got nothing at all.
I'll tell you this, if they would have done it right, if they would have voted, if the Republicans would have voted with us on the War Powers Act, all these questions would have been asked ahead of time.
Right.
Instead of Donald Trump's willy-nilly, one day yes, one day no, this is our reason, that is our reason. Right. So I don't think the question can be taken in just one slice.
Right.
Yeah. All right. I think
You're a moron. Take that slice. Understand that insanity. All right, so they're voting right now. We can check into the romper room here.
Mr. Booker, no. Mr. Schumer, no.
So far, no surprises as they take their time, just walking in as they choose. I knew this was going to be this way. That's why I wanted to make sure I had a whole bunch of other content for you, because again, it's like paint drying. As we get closer, they don't have the vote on the screen, but he's going to pass. So just the end hasn't happened, but we all know how it ends, I guess I would say in that regard. But I will keep cutting back to it. I'm going to start another segment. So before I start this next segment, let me tell you about this segment sponsor. Do you owe back taxes or have unfiled tax returns? Or have you filed every year, but you still keep owing? Did you retire and suddenly get hit with a tax bill you didn't expect? Are you a business owner with messy books and a balance you can't afford? Maybe you pulled money from your 401k or your IRA early, and now the IRS wants its share. However your tax issue started, the outcome is usually the same. Your balance is not going down at all. Penalties grow, interest compounds, and many of you are about to owe again for this upcoming tax year in 2 months. Actually, a couple weeks. With no plan in place, that's what's going to happen. Stop what you're doing and call Tax Network USA. The IRS isn't waiting. The IRS is enforcing collections through wage garnishments, bank levies, and property seizures. They can even file for you without your consent. This is where Tax Network USA comes in. With over 15 years in business, there hasn't been a tax case they haven't seen or resolved. They specialize in tax controversies and help taxpayers nationwide get back on track by resolving back taxes and unfiled returns once and for all. Whether you owe $10,000 or hopefully not $10 million, their team has resolved over $1 billion in tax debt. They can do the same for you, but you have to call them. They are offering a free investigation call with the IRS. After that investigation, they put a clear case plan together in place to resolve your tax problem and get you back on track. This is about using your legal rights to take control before the government sets the terms for you. Don't wait for another IRS letter or a frozen bank account. Call 866-686-1377. That's 866-686-1377, or visit tnusa.com/Barry, or click the link in the description. 90 seconds.
Under the previous order, the motion to reconsider is considered made, laid upon the table. The President will be immediately notified of the Senate's action. Thank you. That's right. The clerk will report the motion to invoke cloture.
Cloture motion. We, the undersigned senators, in accordance with the provisions of Rule 22 of the Standing Rules of the Senate, do hereby move to bring to a closed debate on the nomination of Colin McDonald of California to be an Assistant Attorney General, signed by 17 senators.
By unanimous consent, the mandatory quorum call under Rule 22 has been waived. The question is it the sense of the Senate that the debate on the nomination of Colin McDonald of California to be Assistant Attorney General shall be brought to a close? The yeas and nays are mandatory. Under the rule, the clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Alsobrooks. Gotcha. Thank you. I got you.
So Markwayne Mullin is now confirmed as the Secretary of Homeland Security. I'm pretty sure very quickly they will probably swear him in. I will be checking to see if Pam Bondi or somebody comes to the floor, or if they cut to a video where he's going to be sworn in. But he was sworn in 54 to, what was that, 54-45. So the fact that there's only 53 Republican senators, only needed 51, don't need 60 for this particular position, means one Democrat had to jump over, which is probably Fetterman at this point. So it was 54 ups and the rest were down. And he is confirmed he will be on the job tonight as DHS secretary. So let's go ahead and just glad they got that done. So we will not be without a DHS secretary. The guy they're talking about now is for a different position. So I'm going to be watching to see if they cut to seeing him sworn in, but he's in. That's it. It's over. Done. We got our guy. All right, let's continue. We're going to talk a little bit about what happened at the Supreme Court today. And it was basically run, or actually the person who filed was Harmeet Dillon.
Is it legal for states to continue to allow ballots to trickle in after the official federal election day in November and count them? Or is that inconsistent with our federal election statutes? That's the question that the United States Supreme Court confronted today in a very interesting, more than 2 hours oral argument that I had the privilege of witnessing. We at the Civil Rights Division, where we're charged with enforcing our federal election laws, had the privilege of co-authoring a brief with our Solicitor General, who then argued it in court today, together with two of the other top oral advocates in the country, including former Solicitor General Paul Clement, who argued for the Republican National Committee to uphold the lower court ruling from the Fifth Circuit that indeed the practice of Mississippi, and by the way, parenthetically, many other states, of allowing ballots to trickle in and be counted days and sometimes even up to 3 weeks after an election is inconsistent with our federal election statute. So, in prior cases, the United States Supreme Court has addressed these types of issues, and Justice Kavanaugh wrote in a case in 2020 that these kinds of disparate trickling in and uncertainty and a wide swath of different kinds of laws creates uncertainty around elections and indeed undermines confidence in our elections. So we argued in our brief that because Congress has these laws that refer to an election day should mean election day, meaning the last day by which ballots can be received by the state and processed. And so here, Mississippi allows it for 5 days. Some states allow it for 10 days, up to 21 days. 8 states don't even require a postmark on mail ballots. So for those of you who are concerned about whether this would impact our military abroad being able to cast their ballots, it doesn't, because there's a special statute for that under federal law, so there's no preemption issue. And so here I saw a very spirited argument. All of the 9 justices asked questions. I think there was a distinct trend in how some of these justices were viewing this. And this isn't Mississippi's first trip to the Supreme Court. There was a case called Foster versus Love in 1997, where it was kind of looking at the opposite end of the spectrum. Mississippi had a open primary law that said that at the primary level, if any particular candidate, even a federal election, got a majority of the votes, that was the end. There was no need for a general election. And the Supreme Court held that this violated the very statutes that we're looking at here about a federal general election day. And so it's going to be interesting to see the court reconcile that prior decision, some other decisions by the court, and look at the legislative history. And so I'm really excited to see this case come out. And if it comes out the way that the United States is arguing at the Civil Rights Division and Solicitor General's office, i.e., that it is inconsistent with federal law for states to continue to process and accept these ballots after the election day being the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November, set by federal law way back in the mid-1800s, I think that's actually going to be a positive development for voter confidence in the outcome of our elections, regardless of your party, because we're going to know that final means final, and there aren't some shenanigans with a bunch of people, your neighbor or whoever, delivering a dump of ballots into the mail after the election day. So stay tuned for further developments in this case.
All right. So this is big. I hope you understood what she said, not patronizing you whatsoever. But the thing that happened today was that there was a hearing that was appealing a lower court ruling that said, no, you can't have the mail-in ballots. It's got to be in on the same day. I don't know how we got to where we got to. I don't know how people have stretched it out to being anything but that, but they did. That's not cheating. That's not disenfranchising people. That's our law. And so just like with any other law, sort of like, ripping a baby out of a mama's womb, it's up to interpretation. So right now, the Supreme Court is interpreting it, and it's going to decide whether or not mail-in ballots after the day of the election are even to be counted. So let me ask you a question, because I've said this many a times. This is probably going to come out sometime between June and September. The Supreme Court never announces the date when they're going to drop their decision. So how can any person, any company possibly take polls when something like this is hanging like the sword of Damocles? How can you possibly say, oh yeah, Trump's going to lose, oh, the Democrats are going to win the Senate? You have no idea. None. What do you think happens if the Supreme Court does rule and say, nope, it's got to be in on Tuesday? That's it. Period. Dems are done. They know they're done. And what you heard today as well was President Trump talking about ID. See, this isn't even the ID argument. This is just it has to be on the day. You always know you're sitting there watching the results of an election, and they're like, oh, it's going to take us like 7 days to figure this out. No. 8 p.m., done. That's it. If you don't have it, if it ain't here, it ain't counting. The Democrats lose big time, and they know it. Senator Mike Lee put this out, and it makes a lot of sense. It says Congress sets the time, the place, and manner of elections under Article 1, Section 4 of the Constitution. It's already been written. Nobody's changing it. They changed it. States cannot turn election day into election week, and the American people deserve better than last-minute mail-in ballot disco. We just found a whole bunch from Fulton County that undermine public trust. You can argue, you can complain, you can say that whatever reason, but if it's in the frame of the Constitution that it's supposed to be on this day, then it's kind of hard to argue. You let it go off to the left. You've let it be expanded into 10 days. That's not the law. So with everything we're seeing and how fast things changing, I am going to advocate right now, ignore polls. The business of polling is done. You've never seen a candidate like President Trump or president like President Trump, and you've never seen anybody rip the tires off of a car the way he's ripping them off. And it didn't go well at all for the Democrats. Well, seemingly didn't go well for the Democrats.
Court today hearing oral arguments in a case about whether states can count mail-in ballots after Election Day. Our chief legal correspondent Shannon Bream has that story for us. Hello, Shannon.
Hello, Sandra. So this stems from a Mississippi law that says you can get ballots counted up to 5 business days after Election Day if those ballots are postmarked by Election Day. The RNC is challenging this. They said Congress set an election day and states do not have leeway to make all of these different changes to it. Well, Justice Jackson was skeptical. She says, listen, states have done all kinds of things. Why hasn't Congress cracked down before now if they said everything has to be completed by Election Day? If that's what they really meant. Here's a bit of Justice Jackson.
We now have pretty common practice among many states to allow for absentee voting in this way, early voting, all these other things, but in particular, post-election day ballot receipt deadlines.
This woman is the worst. I don't know how they maintain her seat on the Supreme Court. She is absolutely clueless. I could just imagine the other justices on the Supreme Court eyes rolling when she talks. She makes no sense whatsoever. All she is doing whatever the Democrats have told her when they installed her. Do whatever, wink, wink. Oh, okay, I'm supposed to do this. She's insane. Absolutely.
And Congress has not indicated, at least thus far, that it intended ever to preempt this, that it intended not to have the states make this determination.
So 29 states have some kind of grace period after Election Day. So the implications of this decision in this case today could be widespread heading into the midterms. Now, Justice
29 states. 29 states allow some form of an extended period of time after Election Day. 29 states. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. If that no longer can be the case, what's going to happen in November? I think you know where it's headed.
Alito was among those who appeared to think voting should be wrapped by Election Day proper. Here's his take.
We have lots of phrases that involve two words, the second of which is day. Labor Day, Memorial Day, George Washington's birthday, Independence Day, birthday, and Election Day. And they're all particular days.
He says by that logic, it should be extended to Election Day. Everything is to be in by that day. Sandra will know what the rest of the court thinks to, end of the term, we think, probably late June by the time we get this decision.
Got it. All right. Thank you for the update, Shannon. Thank you.
All right. So she says late June. So we're just going along here, doing our business. It's March. It's about soon to be April, May, and they're still doing these polls saying, yeah, the midterms are bad. Trump tanked it. MAGA's falling apart. You got to wonder if this is all part of a concerted effort to try and change your mind. I told you earlier I was going to cover some of the CPAC speeches, and then President Trump came out and said, not going. It's a big signal. In fact, you saw what he did. He was there before. He embraced Erica Kirk, and for him to say, "I'm done, not going," something big must have happened. And so, I don't know how any pollster, I know one of them disappeared, haven't heard from him in a while, how any pollster can even take a number when we don't know arguably one of the biggest cases ever in elections. No more mail-in ballots. How are you going to factor that into any kind of a poll?
Mr. Chief Justice, and may it please the court, all agree that elections for federal office have to end on the day of the election specified by Congress. And all agree that you can't have an election unless you receive ballots, and there must be some deadline for ballot receipt. Nonetheless, Mississippi insists that ballots can trickle in days or even weeks after Election Day. That position is wrong as a matter of text, precedent, history, and common sense. Mississippi all but concedes that the original public meaning of election included both offering to vote and the receipt of that vote or ballot by election officials. And of course, the key distinction between voting and an election is that an election involves the combined action of voters and election officials, as this court underscored in its decision against Foster against Love. And of course, Mississippi insists that at the time these statutes were passed, ballot receipt and the casting of the ballot were so inextricably intertwined, no one would have thought of one without the other. That seems to me to be a damning admission, but it also ignores the advent of field and proxy voting in the Civil War and the enormous efforts that states went to ensure that all of the ballots, whether by proxy or by field vote, were received by Election Day. In the state's view, all of those Herculean efforts were for naught or were entirely gratuitous.
Okay, so I just want to stop. He's basically saying since the country's been a country, people have done whatever they've had to do. Pony Express, dropping it off by carrier pigeon, every other, from the time we've been a country, we've somehow been able to get it done. And so here we are at a 250th celebration, and we're supposed to believe as Americans that it's impossible for us to get these votes in now. And I love how he lined that up. We've been doing it for 200 years. It's 2020 when, we had the jabademic. Now all of a sudden we can't have real elections. Well, how did we do it beforehand? Which is something we should always be asking. How come we were able to do it, and now all of a sudden people can't get IDs and everything else? What are you talking about? My mom and my dad, God rest their souls, were black and got IDs back then and voted on the day.
Now, the state's position actually works even worse as a matter of common sense. If somebody in Gulfport the day after the election asks, is the election over? The common sense answer is no, it's not. The ballots are still coming in. And if somebody asks who won, the truthful answer is we don't know yet. The ballots are still coming in, and they may trickle in for weeks or months. And in fact, they may trickle in for weeks or months with or without a postmark in differing ways in differing states. That reality gives the lie to the idea that we have a uniform national election day.
That's scary. Here's one thing if it got lost in the mail. Hey, listen, this bag here, it's postmarked in October. But there's another thing when they weren't even checking postmarks. Oh, well, how is it a mail-in ballot without a postmark? That's how bad we have slid. That's how bad the Democrat Party wants it.
Problem. And before I get to that, throughout your brief, you say that that the federal statute does require voters to submit their ballots to election officials on Election Day, must be cast by Election Day, and that the Election Day is the day to conclude and consummate the election through a final selection. You agree with all those statements in your brief?
Yes.
Okay. But at the same time, you say, actually, it doesn't have to be submitted to an election official. It just has to be submitted to a common carrier. And there's a contradiction there that I just want you to first address, and then I'll give you my hypothetical.
Very good, Your Honor. I think when you put something in the mail, you're not, I think.
That's not an election official. FedEx isn't an election official.
Right. But
the guy talking against Gorsuch is the guy who is talking for mail-in ballots. I don't know how Mississippi, a deep red state, ended up having this blue nonsense in place. I have no idea.
The recipient certainly is the person who you're submitting it in the mail to. I mean, that is the recipient.
Of course.
And right, Your Honor. And I think
you submit it to FedEx and they deliver it to the election official. But you say it has to be submitted to an election official throughout your brief, but then you say a common carrier is okay. And those two things don't add up.
Well, I think the difference is, say, sending it to your brother versus sending it to the registrar.
Well, we already dealt with that. The brother turns out to be okay, so long as the state says so.
I think that's okay on their view, Your Honor. I'm a little more guarded on that.
I think you already answered that one. So here's the hypo. Let's say you have a state where a large portion of the electorate mails in their ballots on or close to Election Day. Not far-fetched. Many states are like that. Then, the day after the election, a story breaks that one of the lead candidates engaged in an inappropriate sexual escapade, or perhaps is concluding with a foreign power. Again, not far-fetched, I think. And the competing candidate immediately goes on the airwaves and urges voters to recall their ballots and to tell the common carriers not to deliver them. And many common carriers will do that with anything that you send through them. FedEx, you just call them up and say, I want it back. In that hypothetical, did the election happen on Election Day? Oh, by the way, it swings the election.
Oh, gosh. I hope you understood what he's saying. He's like, these people, hypothetically, could send their stuff in, and you're saying once they send it, they voted. However, they can say, bring it back. I want to change my vote, and it would swing the election. Is that okay? No.
So the election did happen on Election Day, Justice.
You hear everyone's laughing in the courtroom because they know he just rolled out a biscuit in front of the guy. The guy can't get out of this.
As we've explained, our ballot does not allow using mail recall, anything like that. When somebody submits their ballot by mail,
just first deal with my hypothetical, and then I'll deal with your statute.
Okay. The election happened on Election Day.
Even though it changes the outcome.
I mean, I think.
Yes, it has to be your answer, doesn't
it? I mean, yes, Your Honor. I want to be clear about this.
Understand, this is the pinnacle of experience in the legal profession. You are chosen to go and argue a case in front of the Supreme Court of the United States. You are the best of the best. And he's rendered this guy. How could you not have expected that question? How could you not have been prepared for that question?
All right.
We are not agreeing that the outcome can be properly changed in that circumstance.
Well, hold on. It did in my hypothetical. You can't change my hypothetical, counsel.
And I'm just saying it's unlawful, Your Honor. I don't mean to disparage your hypothetical. I'm just saying that it's an unlawful circumstance because we don't allow ballot.
Oh, in Mississippi. Okay. But that hypothetical could happen in another state, right?
I think if the state is not providing that on mailing there's a final choice made, I think that would be a problem with that law under the federal statute.
Now, you say your statute, you're different. You admit my hypothetical could happen, but you say it can't happen in Mississippi because recall's not allowed. I couldn't find that anywhere in Mississippi law. In fact, what I did see was a statute that says that the Secretary of State can promulgate rules and regulations. That's 23-15-637-3. And then I went and looked at the regulations, and Rule 2.1 says that an absentee ballot is the final vote of a voter when the ballot is marked accepted. That doesn't preclude recall.
Ooh. Ouch. This other attorney at this point is a candidate for Southwest Airlines. Want to get away? You walked head first into that. You had to know that the justice was going to do their homework or have their clerks do the homework, and they're asking you a question, like I said before, that they already know the answer to. So you should have known when he asked that question, he's got me. Instead, you try to, wiggle your way away from it.
And in fact, that allows recall.
I respectfully don't agree with that, Your Honor. I mean,
where does it say recall's not permitted? I couldn't find that anywhere in your statutes or the rule.
And I think by providing that ballots are final when cast under our statute.
No, it doesn't. It says they're final when marked accepted.
That's the regulation, Your Honor.
Yeah. It's your regulation, and it allows recall.
It does.
You're telling a Supreme Court justice who's telling you the actual statute that you're wrong. You're like, no, Judge, you're wrong or something. This isn't a entry-level judge. This is a Supreme Court justice, and I'm caught.
Respectfully, it does not allow recall, Your Honor. The ballot.
Show me where. Would you read to me the provision that precludes it?
It's subsection 3 of the statute that my friends have found.
I read you said subsection 3 that says the Secretary of State can make rules, and then I read you the rule.
To ensure that the ballots are final when cast. The key thing is ballots are final when cast.
It says, votes promulgated by an absentee ballot, that the person's absentee vote is final. You can make rules about when they're final. And what the rule says is it is final when marked accepted.
I'm thinking of that Christian Bale gif. Ouch. Again, this happened today. So every single poll you've seen up until March 23rd, every single poll that you've seen up until this day had no idea this was going to happen. Nobody took it into account when they're saying Trump's going to lose the midterms. Well, now there's another factor in here. Besides the ID situation, besides the Saving America Act, now you got another thing here, a proverbial, not to talk about Iran, but a proverbial landmine for the Democrat Party, and they have no answers. He's being questioned by Neil Gorsuch, and he's got no answers.
And that's, I mean, it's speaking to a processing rule about what to do when somebody's, when somebody's ballot potentially doesn't arrive on time, they submit an affidavit ballot. But I would come back to the text of the statute, Your Honor. I mean, final win cast is what our law.
Mr. Stewart,
You believe that absentee voting by the military and overseas voters, the various laws, that federal laws under which states have proceeded with respect to those votes are illegal?
No,
or they're not saying what everybody has understood them to say, that states can accept absentee ballots after the election?
So
military and overseas ballots?
I don't think any vote is unlawful. Let me try to address how I think you would reconcile UACAVA with the Election Day statutes. And to start, I think it's important to recognize that UACAVA is not limited to the federal general election. So UACAVA applies to primary elections, to runoff elections, and special elections, and federal general elections. The Election Day statutes only apply to the general federal election. So the way I would reconcile the two is to say that all the references in UACAVA to state deadlines are perfectly fine, not preempted at all, not displaced at all, not even anomalous. With respect to the primaries, the runoffs, and the special elections. Then the court has a job to do in the federal general election as to say, like, kind of which is the specific, which is the general. I think the more logical way to do it would be to say that with the understanding in this court, if you decide in our favor, that for the federal general election, the ballots have to be in by Election Day. I would say
maybe we should have another president now, because wasn't it in Florida that they were counting military votes after receipt?
So with all due respect, that is the reddest of red herrings, because what...
Well, what you just heard was the proverbial... But let me go ahead and put you back in line here, okay? Because you're too stupid.
Happened in the 2000 election in Florida is that pursuant to a consent decree that was entered by a federal court because Florida was violating the principal provision of UACAVA, which says you have to give the absentee ballots to the overseas voters 45 days in advance. Because Florida was violating that, there had to be a consent decree to create a remedy that was not provided
What happened was that the judge made up the deadline, not the state.
So, in other words, what she just stepped into is she's talking to a guy who's prepared. The other guy was stuttering and everything. This guy was prepared. Nope, that's a red herring. Here's why. And she had nothing to combat it once, hey, one of your people, a judge, said it. And that's why we're here, because we want to make sure a Supreme Court now settles this stuff forever, so we don't have little judges making these decisions. But the best one is this one. This is Samuel Alito, and Shannon Bream alluded to it, but hearing it from him is just amazing.
Is this Alito?
We have lots of phrases that involve two words, the second of which is day. Labor Day, Memorial Day, George Washington's birthday, Independence Day, birthday, and Election Day. And they're all particular days. So if we start with that, if I have nothing more to look at than the phrase Election Day, I think this is the day in which everything is going to take place, or almost everything. And then we have 3 points in time, 1844, 1872, 1914. And we can ask, what would people have thought on those days is meant by this phrase, Election Day? Which of those should we choose? Which of those dates should we choose?
Well, I think you could choose any of the three. I mean, honestly, I think the single best one, if you're just going to choose one, is 1872. And the reason I say that is because 1914 is the latest in time, but that's the one that Congress gave the least thought to, because it was right after the 17th Amendment. And they just said, yeah, whatever the rule is for the House of Representatives, we'll use that for the Senate.
Okay, so in 1872, someone sees Election Day, and maybe they start with the idea, okay, it's a particular day, and then they say, but I remember the Civil War. And a big exception was made. There were different practices in the Civil War. It wasn't everybody going to a particular polling place and voting. So what then can we take from that? Should we just take from that, well, this was an incredible national emergency where extraordinary measures had to be taken. What should we take from that? What would an ordinary person have thought Election Day meant in 1872?
I think they would have said that's the day by which, at a bare minimum, the ballots have to be cast and received into official custody.
That's the answer. Election Day, they are cast and received, accepted into custody. On that day, not 4 days, 5 days, a week, 2 weeks later, Election Day is the day when the votes are cast and received. And that's the argument I don't think the Democrats can beat. I want to show you this. You guys will have the opportunity, if you're on X, to go read this yourself. I posted this. This is from SCOTUS blog. And a SCOTUS blog isn't by any way, shape, or the imagination a right-leaning website. They are former clerks and people in SCOTUS, and they are, for the most part, legal eagles. And they put this together. I posted it on my Twitter so you can go see it, but it outlines everything that you just heard much more in depth. And it tells you what the judges were actually thinking as they were asking the questions. Like here, several justices focused on the history of election practices, what it might mean for Congress understanding Election Day when it enacted laws at the center of this case. And it talks about the lawyers and everything that happened, talked to which judges said what. Here's the information about Samuel Alito. And it's a rather long, detailed article that I urge you to go check out. I won't take the time to go through the whole thing right now, but this was the title of what they wrote. Court appears ready to overturn state law allowing for late arriving mail-in ballots. The Supreme Court on Monday appears ready to overturn a Mississippi law that allowed mail-in ballots to be counted as long as they are postmarked by and then received within 5 business days thereof. Election Day, after just 2 hours, that's all they took, of oral arguments in Watson versus Republican National Committee, a majority of justices seem to agree with the challengers, which included the Republican Party of Mississippi and the Libertarian Party of Mississippi, that the Mississippi law conflicts with federal laws that set the Tuesday after the first Monday in November as the election day. So, understand, whenever they come out with this, which could be June, could be July, could be September, probably won't let it go that long. Whatever is happening leading up to the 2026 election is going to completely change. They may do it the earlier as possible. They may do it in June to give everybody across the country time to enact what they say. So between what President Trump is trying to get done with the Save America Act, and you put in and couple that with, obviously, there is a good bit of consensus at this point that mail-in ballots are going to be destroyed. You tell me, with the knowledge you have right now, how in the heck the Democrats are going to win? If you can't cheat, if you can't stuff the mail-in ballots, if you can't, what are you going to do? Riot. That's about it. That's probably what they'll end up doing. But now you've got knowledge in your hand and available to you to realize something big is going to happen in the next 3 months or so. It's March now. They say it may come out in June. It's inevitable almost. I bet you it's going to be a 6-3 decision. Of course, the 3 Democrats, Sotomayor, Kagan, and what's her name, Ketanji Jackson, they're all going to say no. I think it's 6-3. And if that comes down and you can't use the mail-in ballots after the day of election, has to be counted, I don't even know if we need ID at that point. They're done. But I definitely put those two together, and it's a poison pill that will destroy the Democrat Party. If we can get the voter ID one way or the other, as President Trump is alluding to, as he's saying voting security is national security, if he's able to do it that way, and the mail-in ballots, it's over. I wouldn't get cocky and not show up, but I don't see how they can possibly win. So I'm sorry if I spent a lot of time in some deep weeded stuff here, but this wasn't just the normal fluff that you hear when you're talking about people blowing up in Iran, and there's some really deep stuff that's happening in our election system, in our court judiciary system, that's really going to affect things moving forward. And it's important that you guys know it, because many people aren't going to talk about it. They'll just, now that it's over, now that the hearing, well, it was only 2 hours, and now that the hearing's over, they won't even talk about it. Now, I bet you see some crazy polls coming up trying to change people's attention. And now you've got this information, and you can go, like I said, read the article and go look in there. This is going to be huge. Rosie says, I think the mail-in ballot reform is even better than voter ID. Yeah, it very well could be. Thank God we made it too big to rig in 2024. Exactly. What do we say here? This is worth repeating. No drop-off boxes. No need to apologize. No need to apologize. Very good education. Yeah, but sometimes I get people take it as being in the weeds too much, and you know, the deep information, especially regarding law and what's going on in the Supreme Court, you know, sometimes may necessitate a deeper dive. I mean, we saw what's going on with Congress. Markwayne Mullin, I haven't seen anything where he's actually been sworn in. Maybe he already did on a different channel, but things are happening fast. And so it's 9 o'clock straight up. SV, you there, bro? You there?
Yes, I am. Here I am.
Anything? Did anything blow up yet?
No, nothing from True Social, but I'm following a couple things. I find it kind of interesting, this story here. A young guy with an iPhone took down Waltz, and now I have a feeling he's going to take down Newsom, because earlier, about 2 hours ago, Governor Newsom posted, pro tip, daycares aren't content farms. If you show up demanding access to film children, don't be surprised when the cops show up. Nick Shirley responds, pro tip, stop giving taxpayer dollars to fraudulent daycares. 22,000 likes in about an hour.
Oh my gosh. It's gonna get bad. So
I hope he has security.
Oh, really? I think Brandon Tatum has a security company that's been guarding Nick wherever he goes. Brandon Tatum used to be a cop as well, or something. But it's funny. We're gonna sign off here and go have dinner and go to bed or something. And who knows if they're gonna rain down holy you know what in Iran. And the fact that there's nothing being posted. I mean, you're refreshing. I'm refreshing.
Oh yeah.
Nothing out there.
I'll let you know if I see. I'll be the first to tell you.
Yeah, but we're getting out of here. I'm gonna go have some dinner.
Sure. All right. Well, I'm gonna say goodnight to the Patriots in the chat and to you, Barry.
All right, brother. We'll talk soon. Let me go ahead and get super chats, and I'll be sleeping with one eye open like the Iranians, because I want to see what's gonna happen tonight. Maybe, well, it's not really night. What time is it hold on, let me see. What time is it in Iran right now? I think it's daytime over there. So I don't think we'll see anything tonight, because they like to do it under cover of darkness. But then again, they have the skies complete. What time is it in Iran? Yeah, it's 4 o'clock in the morning in Iran. So who knows? They got probably another hour of darkness to blow some stuff up. So we shall see. But you never know what tomorrow brings. That's for sure, especially with President Trump and everything now that he's back at the White House. All right, let me just do super chats and we can go on our way and see you guys tomorrow. Benedetto Salerno. Only ones to lose ability to vote under SAVE Act are the illegals. True. Sue. What POTUS should do is have a website put up to apply for birth certificate for those that can't find them, and there's also pay the small fee for them. Yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, make it easy. Hey, it's free to get your birth certificate. You get a coupon and you can fill it out and you get a free birth certificate. I'd be up for that. And we need to find a way to stop paying the Senate. Well, what's his name? Joe Kennedy, Senator Kennedy offered to stop paying senators, and they freaked out. Hockey Gramps, SB should open the show by saying, here's Barry. Dr. Ed, Barry's the best. Pathetic malaise is the objective of U.S. government and U.S. education. Yeah, bureaucracy is death. I agree. Cutting edge. Oh boy, if they keep doing this, not only POTUS will want to move the military into the voting places, he will do without a question if they don't vote the Save America Act in. It's coming. Miss Ninja Turtle, I registered online, married, no birth certificate. What state was that? Fume Drummer, hello. Here's a tip to alluding to the zombies' time of the season. Good song. Yeah. Oh, and when I said, "Who's your daddy?" Is he rich? Is he rich like me? That's the song. Okay, the time of the season. James Hammond, hey Senator Schumer, you have to have a valid ID to vote on the Senate floor, so stop lying. Exactly. Hot Rod, when Bernie was born, it was carved into a stone tablet. Yeah, we can excuse him for not having a birth certificate. Wow, it's too funny. Melvin, Newsom went to Davos with no ID or passport. Private jet, probably didn't get checked, but I'm sure when he got there, he had to get some sort of checking. Raven Kirkendall, Gavin is a liar. If he didn't have a passport, he wouldn't have been overseas a few weeks ago. Bingo. Hey, I tell you, they think you have no memory. Al Phelps, don't you think the Dems love John Fetterman kind of like we love Thomas Massey? Yeah, why don't we just let them do a quick trade? John Ville, the concert that never happened, NOLA Superdome, Led Zeppelin, Bonham died. I called that. That's what I knew that's what you were talking about. Jose, I will bet Bernie got his identification correct to purchase one of his many homes. Neo, hello, brother. Thanks, Barry and team. The senators need schooling again. I think reevaluation camps should be required to see if they can do their job. I know a bunch of old people just walking around. I'm old, but damn. And Nathan Hardcastle, have you seen Senator Kennedy on the floor yesterday giving a solution to the funding of TSA? Had a Dem voiced an objection and walked out the chamber. Yeah, I saw that. It was so emphatic. He was proposing something, the guy walks in, object, and just walked out. That's it. It's pathetic how our government is run. All right, everybody, I will see you tomorrow. Like I said, if you want to check out this article in its entirety, feel free. It's on my profile right now at X. Again, it's long, and it's basically a SCOTUS blog here. I put the link into it so you could actually go to it if you wanted to check yourself. But this is the full text of their article about throwing out mail-in ballots. So it's big. It's going to be real big if it gets. It looks like it's going to get passed or approved. All right. Thank you. I will see you guys tomorrow.